as we were saying, why not just put the code that we want to run regardless outside of the try, except, else blocks? The except block guarantees that if an error is encountered, it won't automatically crash, meaning that after the except block is run, execution will jump down to the next line after those blocks of code. And the answer to this question is kind of. The finally block has one special feature though. If there were any errors inside that try block that weren't caught by particular except blocks, then the finally block still runs. Recall that even if we had a try catch block or a try except block, the code would still crash if an error arose that wasn't one of the ones caught by one of our except blocks. The same is true if we use a finally block. If there's an uncaught error inside the try block, the code will still end up crashing. However, if there's a finally block, the code inside the finally block will still run, even if the type of error was not caught. So let's go back to our earlier example and see this in action. Here, our code had a try block, and the second line inside this try block just said to print 1 over 0. And of course, that's going to trigger a 0 division error. We can't divide by 0. That's going to cause the rest of the try block to be skipped. The code then checks the first except block, but sees that it doesn't catch the right kind of error. It catches a value error instead of a 0 division error. So it skips the body of that except block. The same thing happens with the second except block. Type error is not a 0 division error, so it skips line 14. However, then we encounter the finally block. Finally runs no matter what happened inside the try block, whether there was no error, whether there was an error that was caught, or whether there was an error that was uncaught. So line 16 still runs, and we see that over here. However, because there was an error that was uncaught, the code never reaches line 17. It crashes out first. So while oftentimes we can put code outside of our try-catch blocks and we know it will run as long as our errors were caught by those except blocks, the finally block allows us to run some code even if an unanticipated error arose. It still crashes anyway, but we can get some output first.